The keychain sat in my palm, dented on one side, warm from my pocket. That's the moment I want to start with. Not the dinner table, not the laughing, just me, standing outside in the cold, looking down at a piece of stamped metal shaped like a company logo I built from nothing, listening to my father-in-law's voice bleed through the window behind me. He was mid-sentence, something about real men driving real trucks, and I remember thinking, he has no idea what he's talking about. Not yet. Rewind 6 hours. Snow was already 3 inches deep on the Ashford driveway in Traverse City. When I pulled in, my truck, a beat-up, mud-splattered 2019 model with a cracked side mirror and a check engine light I never bothered to fix, looked exactly like what it was supposed to look like. Tired, ordinary, cheap. Nicole squeezed my hand before we got out. "You okay?" "I'm fine. I never lie about being fine. I just don't explain what fine costs me." "My dad's gonna be a lot tonight," she said. "He had a rough quarter at the dealership." I nodded. I already knew that. I know a lot of things I don't say out loud. Ashford's house smelled like cinnamon and pine and something simmering that his wife, Delphine, had been working on since noon. Twinkle lights wrapped the porch railing in 3 uneven rows. Ashford always did the outdoor lights himself, refused help, same as he refused most things offered to him gently. He met us at the door with a handshake that lasted a beat too long. "Brandon," he said my name like he was testing the weight of it. "Good to see you made it through the roads. Wasn't bad. That truck of yours make it up the hill okay?" His eyebrows lifted. Behind him, Nicole's brother Callum snorted into his eggnog. I just smiled. "Made it fine." Dinner started polite enough. Turkey, a ham nobody asked for, mashed potatoes with too much butter, the good kind of too much. Delphine fussed over plates. Nicole's younger sister Priya kept sneaking glances at her phone under the table, texting someone she wouldn't name. Normal chaos, comfortable chaos. Then Ashford refilled his glass and looked out the window at the driveway, where my truck sat next to Callum's shiny new pickup, the kind with the chrome package and the oversized grill that costs more than most people's rent. "I gotta say, Brandon," Ashford set his glass down with a small, deliberate click, "your truck has seen better days." The table went quiet in that specific way tables go quiet when everyone's waiting to see who laughs first. "It runs," I said. "It runs," he repeated it like a punchline. "Man provides for my daughter and drives around in something held together with duct tape and prayer." He laughed, short and sharp. Callum joined him. Priya didn't look up from her phone, but her mouth twitched. Nicole's hand found my knee under the table, a warning, or maybe an apology. I couldn't tell which. "Dad!" Her voice had an edge to it. "Enough!" "I'm just saying," Ashford held his hands up, all mock innocence. "A man's truck says something about him. Mine says I take care of my family. Callum's says he's got ambition. Brandon's—" He trailed off, took a sip. "Well, Brandon says something too." The room laughed again, quieter this time, the kind of laugh people do when they're checking to see if it's safe. I reached into my coat pocket without thinking. My fingers found the keychain, dented, scratched, worn smooth in the middle where my thumb had rubbed it 1,000 times since the day the plant manager pressed it into my hand and said, "First one off the line, boss. You should have it." I turned it over once, put it back, didn't say a word. "Brandon builds trucks too," Nicole said suddenly, too fast, like she'd been holding it in and it slipped out sideways. Ashford's eyebrows went up, genuinely curious for the first time all night. "That's so. What line? Assembly?" "Something like that," I said. It wasn't a lie, wasn't the truth either. I've learned there's a lot of room to live in between those two things, and I've made my peace with it. "Assembly work's honest work," Ashford said, in the tone of a man complimenting a stray dog. "Nothing wrong with that. Hands-on, blue collar." He gestured at Callum with his fork. "Callum's in sales now, regional, moving up fast." "Dad," Nicole started. What? I'm proud of both of them. He wasn't looking at me when he said it. I kept eating. Somewhere under the table, Nicole's hand tightened on my knee again, and this time I covered it with mine. Here's the part I didn't understand until later, the part that took me years to actually sit with, turning it the way I turned that keychain over, worn smooth from handling. Nicole married me when I had nothing, a studio apartment above a tire shop in Flint, 2 maxed-out credit cards, and a stubborn idea about building suspension systems that could survive Michigan potholes better than anything on the market. She married that. Not the company, not the plant, not the 400 and change employees whose kids I've watched grow up in company photos on the break room wall. She married a man with grease under his nails and a plan nobody believed in. I never told her family what the company grew into. Not out of shame, out of something closer to superstition, like if I said it out loud too early, it would prove it wasn't real yet. And then, once it was real, once the checks cleared and the plant expanded twice and my name started showing up in trade publications, I just never found the right moment. Or maybe I never looked for one. Unbothered isn't the same as careless. I chose the quiet on purpose. Nicole knew, of course, knew everything. And every Christmas, watching her father take his little digs at my truck, my clothes, my assembly work, I watched something in her face fight itself. Pride pulling one way, embarrassment pulling the other, neither one winning. "You could just tell him," she whispered to me once, years back, after a dinner not unlike this one. "I could," I said. "But then it's not about me anymore, it's about the company. I'd rather he like me first." She never brought it up again, but I saw it cost her every single Christmas, sitting there absorbing jokes about a man she knew was lying, except about a name. Dessert came out, pumpkin pie and a pecan tart Delphine seemed nervous about, like it was untested territory. Ashford poured himself another glass and settled back into his chair, warming up for round 2. "You know what gets me is guys who don't take pride in what they drive. I don't care what you make, Brandon, but if I were bringing home a paycheck, first thing I'd do is get myself a decent truck, something that says I made it." "Some of us don't need the truck to say it," I said. Quiet, not sharp, just true. Ashford blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," I smiled. "Pie's good, Delphine." Nicole exhaled beside me. I heard it more than saw it, that specific shaky breath she does when she's holding something back. Priya finally looked up from her phone. "Wait," she said slowly, squinting past me, out the window toward the driveway. "Isn't that the same logo as on Dad's work polo, the dealership one?" Everyone turned. Ashford sells trucks for a living, has for 11 years at a mid-sized lot 2 towns over, moving other people's inventory, other people's engineering, other people's name on the building. My truck sat in his driveway under the porch light, snow settling on the hood, and stamped small and silver on the tailgate, half covered in road salt, was the manufacturer's badge, the one I designed myself on a napkin in an apartment above a tire shop 11 years ago. "No," Ashford said slowly, squinting harder now, "that can't be." "Dad," Nicole's voice was very calm, almost gentle, "that's his company." Silence, the good kind and the bad kind tangled together. "His?" Ashford set his fork down. "His what?" "His company," Nicole said again. "Brandon owns it. He's owned it for 6 years. That's not assembly work, Dad. That's the whole operation. Powertrain, chassis, 3 plants, Flint, Saginaw, and the new one in Ohio." Callum's mouth actually fell open mid-chew, which under any other circumstance would have been funny. Ashford looked at me like he was recalculating something in real time, running the numbers backward. "You're telling me that truck out there is a base model," I said. "Company policy. Employees drive what we make, no special treatment for the guy at the top. Keeps us honest about what we're building. I shrugged. Didn't seem worth mentioning. Didn't seem... He laughed, but it came out wrong this time, brittle at the edges. Brandon, that's a multi-million-dollar... It's a truck company, Ashford, not a secret. Just never came up. I reached into my pocket again, pulled out the keychain, set it on the table between us, dented side up. First one off the line. I keep it on me. Reminds me where things started. He stared at it like it might bite him. "I've been selling your trucks," he said, finally, quietly, almost to himself. "For 11 years. I've been standing on a lot in Gaylord telling customers about torque specs I got out of your spec sheets, and I've been sitting here all night telling you your truck is an embarrassment." "You didn't know," I said. "I should have asked." His voice cracked slightly on the last word. He looked at Nicole, then back at me, and something in his face folded in on itself, the bravado draining out fast, the way air leaves a tire. "Dad." Nicole's eyes were wet now.
"You didn't have to know what he did to just not be cruel about it." "I know." He rubbed a hand over his face. "I know, Nick. I'm sorry. Brandon, that was out of line. All of it. Every year." Delphine reached over and touched his arm. Quiet support, the kind that doesn't need words. Callum found his voice last. "Man, I complimented my own truck to the guy who..." He stopped, shook his head, laughed a little at himself, disbelieving. "That's rough, dude. That's actually rough." Here's what I want people to understand about that moment, the part that matters more than the reveal itself. I didn't need the apology. I'd made peace with the joke a long time ago, the same way I'd made peace with staying quiet about who I was. What I needed, what I hadn't realized I needed until I watched it happen, was for Nicole to stop absorbing it for me. Stop sitting at that table every December, torn between defending a truth she couldn't tell and protecting a father who didn't know he was aiming at the wrong target. "It's okay," I said, and meant it. "Ashford, truly, it's okay." "It's not, though." He looked up at me, and for the first time all night, there wasn't a single joke behind his eyes. "You sat here and let me talk down to you for 6 years because you didn't want it to be about the money. That's not nothing, Brandon. That takes a kind of restraint I don't think I have." "Wasn't restraint, just didn't want you to like me for the wrong reason." He nodded slowly, like that landed somewhere real. "Well, I like you for the wrong reason and the right one now, so..." A small, unsteady laugh. "Guess we're square." Later, after the dishes, after Priya finally put her phone down and asked me real questions about suspension geometry that actually surprised me with how sharp they were, after Callum insisted on shaking my hand 3 separate times like the first 2 hadn't taken, I stepped outside for air. Nicole followed me out, wrapping her cardigan tighter against the cold. "You okay?" she asked, echoing her own question from 6 hours earlier. "Yeah." I looked at the truck, snow gathering soft on the hood, the little silver badge catching what light there was. "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm sorry I never pushed you to tell them." "Wasn't your job to carry that?" I pulled the keychain back out, turned it once in the cold air, dent catching the porch light. "This is the same thing I keep with me every day at the plant. First truck. Reminds me nobody starts anywhere impressive." She took my hand, laced her fingers through mine, quiet for a second. "For what it's worth," she said, "I was never embarrassed of you. I was embarrassed for you. Different thing." I know, Nick." Behind us, through the window, I could see Ashford picking up my old truck's keychain, the spare one I'd left on the counter, turning it over the exact same way I had, like he was trying to understand something about it he'd been missing for 11 years. Snow kept falling, soft and steady, and for once, nobody in that house was laughing at the wrong thing.